Welcome to Ambitious, Awakened, and Aligned, the podcast where rising leaders come home to who they really are so they can lead, live, and love in full alignment. Today's episode is more than a conversation. It's a transmission, a soul shift, a mirror to your becoming. I have the absolute honor of welcoming Tracy Litt, founder of the School of Becoming, TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and one of the most powerful catalysts I have ever personally encountered. In this space, Tracy and I dive into the radical truth that who you've been is zero indication of who you're capable of becoming. We explore identity evolution, nervous system wisdom, quantum growth, and the sacred work of becoming her. Not the version the world expects, but the version your soul is aching for. So, if you've been feeling the pull, if the titles, the check boxes, the outside success still leave you wondering, what else or what is this all for? This episode is your nudge, your permission slip, your moment. Let's step in together with the incredible Tracy Litt. Like over the moon with excitement to have Tracy Litt here with us today. Thank you for saying yes to us and all the luscious listeners who get to be in your circumference today.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here with you. I think we could just stare at each other and smile.
I know.
All right. And truly the energetic transmission of that would do so much. But I know we have things to say.
We have
So
things to say, and I don't think, we'll ever stop having things to say, and so, although we will end the podcast at some time, Tracy and I will keep the conversation going forever. So, one of my, preparing for this podcast actually has been the most difficult podcast I've prepared for, also the easiest, the most difficult because trying to hone in on where to start, where to go, because I've had the incredible honor and opportunity to be inside of Tracy's container for over a year and a half now. And the wisdom that you share is so broad and so necessary for today on elevating the consciousness of women in the world in beautiful and powerful ways. So, and the easiest because I am so in tune with you and the power of what you do. So it was interesting just to sit in the polarity of that in itself. One of the things that I love that you share is who you've been is zero indication of who you're capable of becoming. Can you tell us what that actually means?
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So it means, you know, really the words that I shared, you know, your past doesn't dictate anything.
Mm,
And who you've been, where you come from, what you were raised in, what your perceived limitations were, what you accomplished or didn't accomplish, has no bearing on your actual capability to become the next level version of yourself, your highest self, the version of yourself that your dreams require, right? Whatever is most resonant for you. The one of the lenses of limitation that we're brought up in is the absence of this understanding, right? We think history repeats itself. We think the past creates the future. We live through the lens of only looking at the tangible evidence of what was. And then we attempt to create new realities and new futures. But you cannot do that if you continue to bring the past along for the ride, right? The past technically only exists in between your ears because you keep replaying it. And it also does exist in the stuck trauma and unprocessed emotion in your body, right? And that's the fun part of realizing that we are so malleable, we are so plastic,
Mm,
Everything is up for grabs. Everything is transformable, transmutable, changeable, evolvable. So, who you've been is zero indication of who you're capable of becoming. Who you've been means nothing because it's not relevant.
mm,
The question is, are you willing to step out of survival and into the truth of the fact that you are a creator
mhm,
and understand that creator means you are co-creating with that you believe in that's bigger than you, right? God, source, Jesus, oneness, greater intelligence, whatever floats your boat. But it's undeniable that there's something else at force here, right? The ability to co-create, the recognition that being a creator means being creative,
mhm,
designing,
mm,
deciding. And it's how I became who I am. That quote happened because I was a single mother on food stamps
mm,
in a relationship with a sociopath because that was my level of unworthiness, right? And then became and evolved. And now I'm sitting here in an extraordinarily healthy, loving, co-creative partnership with my very healthy, conscious, equally contributing spouse,
mm,
right? I'm running a multi seven-figure personal development and spiritual brand for women leaders and entrepreneurs. And I am so whole, like that old version of me that perceived she was unworthy, like gone. I don't even have like, sometimes we look back at our past selves and really feel something still, or there's just more to witness. Now she's poof.
mm.
And we
So
have to serve.
I know what
Yeah.
the listeners are thinking right now. How? And I love that you mentioned where you were because we see you today, Tracy. We see Tracy today that has that multi seven figure business and is just glowing with beautiful, powerful energy and can't anywhere inside of us see there might have been a moment where you weren't that same person.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
we're like, tell us a little bit about the journey,
Yeah.
because I received that too. And you and I have had this conversation where people look at you and say, "Oh, you wouldn't know.
Mhm.
You could do it, Tracy. You could do it, Laurie." But no, not if you knew my story, you would realize it's not
Yeah.
possible for me. So, like, how do we get there?
Oh, so good. First thing I want to acknowledge about the beautiful thing you just said is, listener, that is the lie of limitation. That is you believing the thoughts that your mind is offering you. And those thoughts are being driven by your fear response because there's not any part of your system or psyche that feels safe changing.
Mm,
And it's really important that you have to full stop go, oh shit. If I continue to believe my thinking, I will never experience greater than what I've experienced in my life, emotionally, monetarily, relationally, any of it. Your thoughts are the most untrustworthy part of this spiritual being having a human experience thing.
mhm,
I need to say that because if you continue to believe the thoughts that are coming to you, then you will continue to stay where you are, right? There's a famous line in personal development, and I have no idea who said it, but it was a pioneer of many decades ago, right? If you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them, right?
amen.
Which is, like I was saying before, that is a behavioral output of living in a state of survival.
Mhm,
Versus if you're living in a state of creation, it
mhm,
doesn't even occur to you to do that because you get to also create your level of mind. You get to also create your thoughts, right? So, where was I? I mean, I know at the highest truth, life has been very lifey to me because it has geared me to become the person that I need to be to serve at the level that I serve at,
mhm,
right? So, from losing my mother at 24 years old, uh, like 51, my mother was my best friend in the whole world. To becoming a single mother with my daughter when I was 28 and she was 8 months old. Like, there isn't a woman listening right now that none of us were like, "I hope I get married and then become a single mother at 8 months old," right? With an 8-month-old. Um, and moving through my own levels of unworthiness, being in and out of relationships that were beneath me, beyond my daughter's biological father,
mhm,
and then climbing the corporate ladder and landing in, right? And I know we talk about this a lot. Society tells you do this and then do this and then do this. And then whoop, voila, you will be in whatever warped, limited definition of success that our third dimensional world lives in. And I did that. And it wasn't satiating. And then I finally heard my soul at 38 years old. And that's important for all of the beautiful souls listening. 38 years old is when I woke up and started to become who I am now, and I turned 48 a week and a half ago.
Mm.
That's the fun part, because if we're not growing, we're dying,
Mhm.
right? Right? Like that, you are here to evolve. You are here to say yes to your more, right? Like in your world, we talk a lot about being ready for more.
Mhm.
And that lives in who is the version of you who's showing up for that more.
Mhm.
Because she's a different version, right? She's a different version. And it's not because, and this is really important to say, it's not because there's anything wrong with you. It's not because there's something broken. It's not because there's a problem. And it's not because something needs to be fixed. It's because when you understand that we are spiritual, energetic beings having a human experience, then you understand that it is our divine moral responsibility to go within and heal and grow and expand into who is our more, right?
Mhm.
Because this is the thing that got me the most. When I started into this world and like it really, like there was a few things that got me like pissed and pumped simultaneously, right? And when I realized that I was running off a program and a belief system that I didn't choose. Okay, and we'll break this down, but like, I'm sorry, what? So I became who I was unconsciously through, third trimester in the mother's womb until 8 years old, when you're all subconscious mind and you're taking things in and your nervous system is being imprinted and, you're influenced by whatever your parents believe. Congratulations. Now, so do you. And whatever religious leadership you may or may not have had, and whatever your siblings did to you and what you made that mean, and the environment that you were raised in, and the level of wealth or absence of wealth, and whether it was a chaotic home or peace, all these things are happening. And that is like, congrats. Now here you are, right? And you land at like 20, 22, 25, and you're just like,
Mhm.
and that maintains to be who you are, and that maintains to be your program until you wake up in a conversation like this, or in the work that you do in the world, or the work that I do in the world, and you're like, I'm sorry, what? So
Mhm.
all this shit I've been lugging in my life suitcase, so to speak, was optional. Like that belief and that worldview and that perspective and that limitation, we're not even programmed with our own shit.
No.
And that's what got me to go, no, 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 like not today. No. And my whole life, I have been a rebellious questioner.
Mm.
That is a thread that always remained. So I started questioning it. I was like, great. Well, then if I was programmed, I could be reprogrammed.
Mhm.
That's scientifically fact.
Mhm.
So who do I want to be? And what do I want to believe? And how do I want to feel? Oh, and what kind of lived experience do I want before I die? And that moves you into the state of creation. And then
Mhm.
you're playing a completely different game than everybody else.
Mhm. So as you're saying that, I love, one of our deep alignments is we are very curious and we're always asking questions. And yet, I meet so many women right now who they're asking themselves more, not that type of question, more of the, is there more? Like what you were saying, it's like, is this all there is? What the fuck is it all for?
Uh-huh.
That they're not going to that next level of curiosity like you were, like that was
Yeah.
innately built in you, which is why you're such a beautiful teacher and person to be leading in this area. How do we support the women that are saying that and don't actually know where to go with it? This is the
Yeah.
permission slip piece. Like I hear so many women saying, "Oh yes," like they're asking those questions and then still sticking in the old paradigms. They
Yeah.
don't know where to go. They don't know what
Right.
to do with that.
Yeah. Well, a couple things. Where you go is like to you and you do the work with Hawk Inspired, right? Because that's what it is. And I've had the great fortune of not only loving you, right, but also certifying you and your work. It's the work. Okay. It's the work. And I start with that because you need support, you need co-regulation, you need guidance. You don't need answers because part of our roles in this space is to guide you, beautiful listener, back to your own guru-ness, back to your own trust, back to your own sovereignty, right? So when you start to percolate with those kind of questions, which every single beautiful woman does, and so I'm saying that because I'm going to continuously normalize your experience because nothing is unique and your circumstance isn't special and all of those things, right? Now I've served thousands of women globally. Like there's about 4 themes, right? And everyone is in resonance with everyone else.
Mm.
The questions occur because something is actually awakening in you. And what happens after those questions, the actual scientific why do I not move then once those questions start to percolate, is because it's so scary, not cognitively, but inside your nervous system, right? Inside your body, your subconscious. Because if you start questioning, then you're going to find answers
Mm.
and things are going to change and shift. And not only at face value is anything unknown perceived unsafe the level of your nervous system and it triggers your fear response. But in my experience with luscious women asking this question, it's because somewhere in the deep down, you already know, like you know, like you know.
Mhm.
So there's an extra layer of, oh, fuck. Because you also can't really go back to sleep after those questions start to percolate. You fake the funk for a while, okay? You draw it out, like an extra 5 to 7 years of misery. Why not? When this is familiar to us.
Yes.
I have so much to say about that, but I'm going to keep myself on track, right? Because your journey into honoring the those questions and that curiosity is going to require you to unearth things that you disassociated from,
Mhm.
unearth and look at things that your body beautifully protected you away from. It's
Mhm.
going to require you to put down the perfectionism and the overwhelm and the sarcasm and the stress as a badge of honor, right? And all of those types of things mean transformation and evolution, and that foundationally freaks your nervous system out. So it's so much easier to like have the question pop up, but then
Mhm.
just suppress it down because also you're so skilled at suppression, it's laughable.
So skilled at suppression.
So skilled, so skilled. And it's not your fault. Your mother, your grandmother, your great great grandmother didn't represent any kind of emotional freedom. And then we live in a third dimensional society that is literally like triples down on
Mhm.
shaming emotion, vulnerability, expression, right? But that's all the more reason why you have to light a fire under your own ass and show up to contribute to the change because you deserve to feel better. And I know that like, this kind of like irritates me, but we're moving towards this new world. I wish that you hearing me in this conversation with Laurie and saying to you, you deserve to feel better.
Mm.
Like it makes me emotional because I wish that moved the needle enough for you.
Mhm.
We're not there yet as a collective consciousness. We're not there yet in our society. So I'll throw in some external things that might, right? So you get to feel good and you get to feel amazing, more wealthy. You get to feel amazing in your influence. You get to feel safer in your relationships. You get to actually be satiated in your marriage or maybe leave the marriage because one of the deep down knowings is that shit's been beneath you for 20 years, right? Or you heal some wounds with some female friendships and you start to take girls trips again and you remember what belly laughter felt like. Like until you lean in to answer those questions and get support in answering those questions, you're living a muted existence and you're not in your aliveness.
Mm.
and I want for that to be enough.
Mhm. So incredible. Okay, so, one of the it's so much to unwrap here.
Yeah.
The one of the things that Tracy mentioned there is that I am certified in her work, so I have taken the Neuro Identity Evolution certification. Okay, let's have a giggle. I went to that certification because I really wanted to find a way to align the nervous system work with the strategy work that I do. Oh, yeah, I didn't actually realize I was coming for my own complete identity evolution and to be cracked open and surrender to that next version of me coming home. Really, it was more coming home to myself, and that it's been a continued process in working with Tracy and seeing past patterns and really coming into relationship with my body
Mm.
in a way I never expected. So, sometimes we also take that first step with a different kind of nudge and come into something that just blows you wide open. So, if you would have said the words, co-regulation and integration to me before I landed in your world, I'm not sure that I would have known how to embody that.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes so much sense. There's 2 things coming through. Every external thing that you want lives and is capable and is, let me say this, is brought to you by going inside and doing the internal work that we're talking about,
Mhm.
right? More money, corner office, better leadership skills, more shared purpose and productivity from your team, closeness in your marriage, money in the bank, being able to go on vacation and actually take the vacation and not check your phone like a maniac every 17 seconds. All of those things live inside of the internal work.
Mhm.
There was something else I was gonna say, but my brain just went in 2 places. It's okay. If it needs to
Well,
come back, it'll.
it'll come back. I'm curious then, what is the difference? Because I thought I was coming for another certification, which
Mhm.
is like, I'm gonna keep growing and changing. I'm gonna keep, in my opinion, at that moment in time, I'm gonna keep transforming.
Yeah.
Except I wasn't transforming. I was taking more certifications. I was learning more. I was expanding in certain
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
What is different about identity evolution versus personal growth and development?
Oh, yes. I wanna thrust in the air right now, okay?
Let's
This
do
is
it.
such a good question. I always am. I always am. And the thing that I forgot to say just came back through because of what you just said. Um, I love what you just acknowledged because that is what typically happens.
Mhm,
Uh Either you choose to go within because there's a catalyst, right? Like a job loss,
mhm,
grief, death, um, cancer diagnosis, something like that, right? But let's put that aside. What the other thing that happens for women, because we were so conditioned to shrink and not prioritize ourselves and not even recognize we have needs, is one of 2 things will drive you in, what you just said, right? Okay, I see something that I can use to help other people. So your entry point wasn't about you. It was about, and I used to do this too. You and I am you and you are me, and every listener, we are all one. And then the second angle is if you can realize that you are actively hurting your children if you don't choose to go within, right? And if I'm triggering you, you're welcome. And I hope you do something with that because that is another way that we are taught to, right? Great. So if you want to come into this work because you're like, oh my God, what am I actually dripping into my kids? And what am I modeling? I'm telling my daughter to be confident, but then she watches me judge myself and shrink. That's incongruent, right? So to your point, isn't it interesting that we're not simply choosing it
mhm,
for us?
mm,
Ugh, right? That's like another part of the permission slip. It's like, hello, permission to choose yourself because you are the root cause of the effect, because you are the common denominator, because you are the variable by which everything in your professional and personal life is generated. Yet you're bypassing yourself. And then you're wondering why you're resentful and burnt out and have adrenal fatigue and are exhausted and don't want to have sex with your spouse.
mhm.
I'm glad we just solved that mystery.
Mhm.
Now, what is the difference between personal development 101, right? Self-help and neuroidentity evolution? The body and identity itself, right? So what I perceive and have seen inside of the industry that we are in is an absence of embodiment, which means helping a beautiful person, like you were saying, in relationship to your body. And also, as you're listening, when I say the word body, because of how fucked up our relationship to our bodies are through the lens of magazines and vanity and the cosmetic industry and the aesthetic industry, I say body and you think fat or thin.
Yeah.
We have a weird relationship with the body. When I'm saying body, I am saying you have to come back into your body because it's the vessel that carries you through life. It's where your subconscious mind is. It's where all of the stuck emotion is. It's where your intuition is. It's where your power is.
Mm.
And all of the personal development and affirmations and Tony Robbins events and all. And I love it all because everything has a purpose depending on where you fall out. I love it all. There is not a modality that I don't think is amazing. The only issue is most of them are incomplete. And that's where neuroidentity evolution comes in because we're teaching you how to embody, which means helping you back in your body, which means reassociating. Because when we were little girls and that thing happened that then created the perfectionism as an adaptive behavior, you have been living from the neck up as if I could take your neck off your body and you would still exist.
Mhm.
And coming back into the body is an uncomfortable experience.
Mhm.
And also the most worthwhile experience of your life. So now when we're working at the level of the body, you're feeling things, you're embedding things. The affirmation that you're practicing, guess what? It's going to work. Why?
Mhm.
Because it's going to go past your brainstem this time into your spine, into your body, and you're going to start to actually move like that version of you, right?
Mhm.
So it's the embodiment piece because we're working at the level of the nervous system and it's identity. We cannot change a habit outside of our identity. We're not doing behavior change outside of identity, meaning like the kind you want. You're not looking for a false hit of happiness. You're not looking for a quick hit. So 2 weeks later, you're back to the same bullshit. You want it to work. You want sustainable, oh my God, I am different than I was experience. And that has to happen at the identity level. If not, what you're doing is essentially like trying to place hacks and a new thought on top of your current identity, and it doesn't work. So when we work at the identity level, we're really like everything, worldviews, belief structures, a level of mind, rewiring the brain, words that leave your lips, the energy that you emit, your relationship with the way you love yourself unconditionally, your relationship to fear, your boundaries, what you tolerate. Like it is a full evolution from who you were to who you're capable of becoming.
Mhm. It's so powerful, and as you're speaking, I'm having, like, flashes of moments in conversation of going from one to the other. Even like, let's go back to that receiving piece, and I think you said it differently, and what lands for me is receiving. And when I met Tracy, I actually did not know how to receive, period, full stop. It sent me in a spiral to even think about receiving from another person. I was the giver, and the giver gave me a very false sense of some sort of accomplishment wrapped up in all the things that we're talking about, past stories, past experiences, staying stuck in old version of self, all of it. And unraveling and stepping into becoming her and practicing receiving, I am saying to every woman out there, this is so necessary to feeling love, to actually giving love in the way that your mind had messed up. Like, I feel a deep sense of connection and love and gratitude and joy in ways I only never could have imagined before by learning to understand how to receive at the level of my body. And I'm still on a journey,
We all are. We all are. We're not even we all are.
and I
We're
couldn't understand when my daughter would say to me, "Mom, you need to say thank you when when someone gives you a compliment. You need to let people help you when they want to help you." And I had this I'm just gonna call it a spade. I was, like, acting like some martyr that, like, no, 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 I've got it all, I got it all, I'll carry the weight of everything on my shoulders, and won't that make me wear a badge of honor of, "Look at how giving I am."
Mm. I'll leave that there for a minute.
Yeah.
I know, listener, that is hitting because this is part of the theme. This is the shared experience. Every woman leader feels like that until they don't.
Mhm,
And the don't happens because they come inside, right? Doing this most worthwhile work.
mhm.
I have to share something almost like new that I saw when you were talking about your receivership journey that's really like, oh, wow, okay. Because every one of our next levels, right, are hers, our highest selves, they are in their goddess energy.
Mm,
They are in their feminine. They are receptive. When someone says, "That's a beautiful dress," she says, "Thank you." Right? When someone says, "You're just so incredible. Thank you for what you did," she says, "I receive that." Like, yes, and she lets it in. And the support, right, that comes along with receptivity, the ability to have needs and identify your needs, ask for the help, receive the support, grow a bigger bench of support, right? Like this is the direct opposition to the belief structure and conditioning of all women. When you look at, the 1920s, you look at a good house, everybody right now could come back to the after you're done listening to us, go Google 1950s good housekeeping and look at the examples of literally, you'll be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, that'll light a fire under your ass, right? And you start to realize, "Oh my god, this is how conditioned we are as women." And then you go, "Oh, wow, Trace, 1950 actually wasn't that long ago." No, and did you know, I'm pretty sure it was 1974 when women finally did not need a cosigner from a man
yes.
to get a credit card or a mortgage.
Mhm.
Okay? Let's just be clear that I was born in 77, that was 1974. Okay? You act like it was 1800, right? Like it was so far away. You have to come do this work because you have to be part of the change for yourself and everything around you. But here's the thing that was coming through. I get very excited, you guys, obviously. What becoming a good receiver actually requires is you unarmoring your heart. And every one of us, because of how we were conditioned as women to lead like men, to try to grab seats at the table, we all move through life unconsciously littering closing chambers of our heart, just adding another block, adding another piece of metal, adding another moment of protection, right? And that doesn't even include the things that happen to you in your upbringing that automatically cause you to armor your heart. We leaned all the way into our masculine energy, and this is what when I became a single mother with Tay and I was 8 months old, to climb, to create a life for her and I, to land 12 years later as a VP of HR, I couldn't feel shit. I was not receptive.
Mhm,
I was shut it down,
mhm.
head down, go. I was all masculine that whole time and recognizing, wow, to become a great receiver, I have to be willing to pull that piece of armor off. And that piece of armor off, I have to be willing to be seen. I have to lean into my vulnerability. And the interesting part is when we're not great receivers, we're great givers. Because what is the essence of giving? It takes the focus off of you
Mhm.
constantly so you can keep your heart armored. There's always like a little bit of selfishness in giving because it feels so good to give. So I'm never taking that away from us because we all love to give and surprise and delight and do all those things. But if you're doing that with a high stress bucket and nothing refueling you, then we enter, a lot of problem land. So to really just bring this moment home because like it's occurring to me right now live in this moment that the journey of becoming a receiver is a journey of opening your heart fully
Mhm.
because then you're also receptive and you're more magnetic.
It's so vital, and yet I would hear you say that early on in our relationship, and I would say back to you, "I'm so heart-centered. I'm so I'm yeah, I'm good. No, my heart is open. I am loving and caring, and if you ask anybody in my life, they'd tell you how heart-centered I'm a heart-centered leader. I've done the training. I'm a heart-centered but genuinely feel very heart-centered. This is the magic in the work you do, Tracy, is heart-centered and heart open are 2 very different things, and so I'm going to the bank yesterday, I'm sending a message to Tracy, I'm sharing with her I'm dropping some money in my account, and she says, "Shoulders back, tits out, take it in, girl." And I'm like, "Oh, oh, yes." And I can now do that and feel, and you have taught me how to breathe into my heart because I was still living from this place of my mind was the controller of quote unquote being heart centered.
Can I get 1,000 mics to drop, please? That, that's another exact reason why what's the difference between, uh, typical personal development and what we do in neuroidentity evolution?
Mhm. Mhm.
You can take a heart-centered training, but if you're still disconnected from your body, you are not open-hearted. You are learning cognitive things and skills to perform as a heart-centered leader, which
Mhm.
means your frequency is not there. And every woman leader, like your power lives in how grounded can you be? How masterful are you at understanding the energy you're emitting and become so safe in yourself and so open hearted that you walk into that meeting and you not need utter a word yet, but they feel you and the frequency of the room changes and people are looking up and phones are being put down, all because you get it. That's
Mhm.
the internal infrastructure. That's the inside job because energy doesn't lie ever.
And that is what magnetizes.
Boom.
That is the magnet. Ooh, one of the most powerful lessons that sticks in my head every day, this comment I think I am sharing with someone else, connected to everything, attached to nothing. And I would love for you to share what that actually means and why that's so vital in everything that you've been sharing here today.
Thank you. I love that one too.
Mhm.
Mm. I want to share what's happening for me right now inside before I answer that. I'm having a moment of receiving for myself because you I get to do this work and I show up every day and I love it and I'm the vessel for it. And sometimes you forget things you've created or things you've said or moments of impact. And I'm sitting here and opening my heart and I'm like really receiving, like, yeah, it's just so good. Mm. So thank you for that. It's
Mm.
always my intent too to just, model everything we can. So connected to everything and attached to nothing. at its core, helps you finally recognize that control is an illusion and that
Mm.
trust is what is,
Mhm.
right? That your connection to the truth that you're connected to everything will do more for you than the delusion of your current control addiction ever will.
Mm.
So the connected to everything is the remembrance that we are derived of the same oneness and energy as the sun and the moon and the stars. We are made up of atoms, right? Like, this is the cool, geeky part. If we put our hands under microscopes and we went underneath the skin and the bone and the muscle tissue and the blood vessels and all those things, what we see is wave. And it's atoms, it's wave, it's pure energy. And we are connected because oneness is what's real. And that is challenging to your belief system at first. It's challenging to your identity because the third dimensional world that we live in, the masses consciousness, is separateness, not oneness, which is why you know lack and fear so well,
Mm.
because that's what this third dimensional world thrives off of: lack, fear, and separation.
Mm.
Where the truth of what we are derived from is abundance, love, and oneness, because you are connected to everything, because that's the scientific truth of energy and what it is. And in that, like, come, just keep come along for the ride, dismiss any limiting thoughts that are trying to interfere, like, allow yourself to even get your heart, like, there going, "Okay, wait a second. All right, let me just pick up what she's putting down. Fine. Connected to everything. Like, automatically, I am one with.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm not separate from. I am it and it is me. Okay, got it. And attached to nothing, because in my connected to everything is the truth of my inherent wholeness, is the allergicness, the dismissal that I am separate from my worth and my wholeness. Uh, and therefore, I'm attached to nothing. I'm attached to no outcome. I'm attached to no external variable. I am not attached to any external approval. I am, I am, I am attached to nothing, because in my truth of connectedness, I am,
Mm.
and I can trust fully. And being attached to nothing positions you energetically and systematically, which then helps your thoughts calm down, into detachment, into trust that it's this or something better or something different, that everything is like, you and I talk about this all the time. The universe is constantly like reorganizing itself
Mhm.
in your favor. Now, you got to get good at realizing favor doesn't mean it feels good all the time. Favor
Good.
doesn't mean it's going your way. Highest good sometimes feels like a fucking straight bag of shit where you
Yeah.
are purging on your knees, crying your face off like, what is this life?
Mhm.
Right? So realizing that part of the connected to everything is the like, lean back. The universe is your safety net, girl. Like, relax.
Mm.
Right? And then knowing, and because I'm connected to everything, I'm attached to nothing.
Mm.
And it puts you in a completely different energetic disposition.
Mhm. It's so powerful. One of the old identities I've noticed really shift in leaning into that perspective is judgment of self is released, fear of what other people might think of you is released. Like, just I can go on and on and on of just being in remembrance of that as an ongoing mantra, almost just like really leaning into in the moments where I can feel my body sort of tighten up again. Just remind yourself, connected to everything, attached to nothing. It's beautiful, and it is getting into relationship with that trust. It's getting into relationship with that trust. You know what's really cool is the whole time you've been talking, my stomach is growling because when my nervous system is in deep alignment, I have come to recognize I get this little tummy growl. It's like digesting. It's like, oh, it feels so good.
I
Uh,
love it. I love it. And can I add something that my sense is important? Connected to everything and attached to nothing is not hairy fairy. It's not woo woo. It's not Pollyanna. And like you just gave examples of how it helps, like with judgment, right?
mhm,
I too lean on it, right?
mhm,
Stuff is hitting the fan in the business. Things aren't working. A team member does something that's like, wow, okay, I'm going to have to let them go.
mhm,
Moments of deep constriction, all of those things that we humanly judge as not good, right? And then that's the kind of stuff that can send you down the rabbit hole and pull up the old identity. That's when your awareness to go, whoa, 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 my body's getting really contracted. Like, this is, and stop. Breathing, connected to everything, attached to nothing. Connected to everything, attached to nothing.
mhm,
It's an actual practice. It is not just like a platitude that we can put on a meme and send off into the world. It's
mhm,
you must be in practice because in actual fact, you're always practicing something.
mhm,
The question is, what are you practicing, right? We talk
mhm,
about this. You're either practicing the current identity, which is the old identity, or you're practicing the version of you that you're becoming. And that version of you pauses and goes, ooh, breathe, connected to everything, attached to nothing. Got it.
mhm.
Yeah.
So that leads me into what are some of your beautiful sacred practices that are important to being able to actually stay in that who is she becoming? Because it's a constant evolution. The Tracy that we get to see, right? I mean, I've watched Tracy in the last year evolve and expand in beautiful ways too. She's got a hand back and she's saying, come along. We can go here together and I've got you. And at the same time, you're expanding and evolving by grabbing a hand forward somewhere, somehow. So, what are those things for you that you've come to know are so sacred to you?
Mm. Uh, a few key things. My astute awareness to whether I'm in a contracted body or an expanded body is numero uno on my priority list. Paying attention, right? So when I'm open and I'm expanded and my shoulders are back and like things are just chill, right? And as you all come into this work at different depths and spaces, you'll learn like what I'm saying right now might feel foreign because if you're not connected to your body, it's like, what is even a sensation? Because even if I say to you, how do you feel? You know what you do? You roll your eyeballs up and you start thinking about how you feel. And then ask, how do you think about how you feel? I ask you, how do you feel? Right.
It's so much easier to go up
I
there.
know. Well, because, it's familiar and your system hates the unfamiliar.
Yes.
So that's my number one. Like, where am I at? Like, what's up, body? And any points in the day, like right before our beautiful conversation, I
Mhm.
was laying on my Shakti mat, which is
Mm.
just it's like basically a bed of nails. Yes, it's a little masochistic, but it's fabulous.
Really sounds fun.
It's kind of David just lays next to me. He's like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "Leave me alone." That's my husband, by the way. So because I actually had some tension that was due to some muscular stuff from my walk yesterday and my weighted vest,
Mhm.
and my body just wasn't where I wanted it to be.
Mm.
So I went to be with my body and give it what it needs, which then is always step 2. Like, I used to be the master at pushing through.
Mm.
Pay attention to your body. That's crazy. And if I ever do notice it, let me just send 12 more messages. Let me just do 16 more things. Let me just control output, control output. I refuse. I am no longer a woman who's available to push through it all. So if I notice my body is contracted, then I move to step 2. What does it need? Is it a Shakti? Is it going sit on the balcony and getting sun on my face? Is it crying my face off on my office floor? Is it shaking my body out? Is it dancing a bit? Like, "What's up? What do you need?" Right? And I just give it what it needs, and when you function this way, it doesn't take you out, and it doesn't take more than 17 minutes, sometimes 5, sometimes 3 minutes of crying on my floor, and I am like, "Alright, we're back."
Yeah.
Right? So that's really, like, what is my existence, and connected to everything attached to nothing. None of this is real, and I'm gonna die. The amount of times I tell myself in a week that none of this is real and I'm going to die is probably, like, my most common thought process
Mm,
because it immediately pulls me. It's just like connected to everything attached to nothing. It doesn't matter. There's so much shit that's hitting the fan, like, right now actively. And it's like, "Okay, none of this is real, and I'm not getting out alive. Cool."
mm. I love that constant reminder that you give to all of us. Hang on one second
Yeah.
because for some reason my plug has been pulled out from the wall.
Okay.
And just like us, the battery must be plugged in sometimes.
Exactly.
That's just the
Exactly.
truth.
Yeah.
As you were sharing that,
Yeah.
it gave me the huge reminder of, and I just want to make sure we plant this really like critical piece, asking the body. Because in the past, and I think so many high achieving women have been taught the checklist.
Mm.
So I know even one of my beautiful clients that I work with, she's like, well, I have to work out and I have to meditate and then I have prayer time and then I have to journal and then I have, we're still then stuck in doing all these things that could be beautiful for us from a lens of in the mind and in old paradigms. So, hear what Tracy said about asking the body what it needs, and learning that for myself has been life giving and altering.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's foreign. And there's a million how do I get there, which is why you need a guide.
Mhm.
You need a guide. You don't need a guru.
Mhm.
You don't need someone who's telling you what to do. You need a guide so that you can start to practice these things
Mm.
and so you can have the support that you deserve because also that's part of the investment in ourselves, which I invest consistently, you invest in consistently. Some of the reason why you don't say yes is because you're not good at receiving and it's so foreign for you to be like, "Sure, I'll come into this gorgeous container with Laurie and I'll do this amazing thing," because like, "Ugh." But you know what I always laugh about in my own mind is if I were to say to anyone in my world, in your world, like, "Hey, I have this amazing program. It's for your kid. It's gonna help them have sovereignty, use their thoughts to create their
Mhm.
reality, be
Mhm.
confident, right? Be regulated." Every woman in the world would be like tripping over themselves
Yes.
to get their kid enrolled.
Mhm.
Right? So it's like, okay, you are listening to this conversation divinely,
Mhm.
right? And now you sit at a what's next point. And what's next could be as simple as I'm going to commit to breathing and starting to ask my body what it needs.
Mhm.
I'm going to commit to playing with, connected to everything and attached to nothing, even though my mind's like, that's bullshit. I'm not going to listen to my mind. I'm just going to start down that path, right? Because you have no idea who you're capable of becoming until you lean in.
Oh,
Yeah. So
I'm gonna ask one last question and continue this conversation forever.
good.
Tracy, what does ambitious, awakened, and aligned mean to you?
Ambitious, awakened, and aligned. Hmm. It means being fully expressed.
Mm.
It means being unabashed and unapologetic at all times and leading service and a lived experience on my terms in full self honoring in the complete absence of self betrayal.
Mm. Thank you for the work you do in the world. Thank you for raising consciousness for women everywhere. Thank you for being my guide and mentor and most beautiful support and friend. I adore you. And just we'll give you all the ways to find Tracy. Please come into our world and really receive what is possible for you when you step into your own consciousness. Thank you.
Thank you. I love you. I love you. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for leading the charge, being a light worker, helping women rise, helping women feel safe in their more, being the permission slip, giving the permission slip. Listener, you are here with Laurie. Like, just know you are so in the aligned place. And anytime Laurie makes an invitation, say yes. And I promise you, a portal will open because every time you say yes, because your heart's like, even when there's like a little bit of, it's just always magic. It's just always magic. Laurie, I love you.
I love you, Tracy. Thank you. That conversation was a reckoning and a remembering, wrapped with presence, power, and the invitation to keep expanding. Tracy, she doesn't just teach transformation, she embodies it, and you could experience that. If something stirred in you today, if something cracked open, it's because you're being invited to your next evolution. You can find Tracy and her work at theschoolofbecoming.com and on Instagram at the Tracy Litt. If this episode activated something inside of you, please share it with someone you love. Get on the journey together. Speak it, own it. This is how we rise together. And as always, thank you for being a part of Ambitious, Awakened, and Aligned, where we meet at the intersection of ambition, soul, and the sacred truth of becoming. Until next time, lead with heart, live in alignment, and never forget you were made for this.